Hello, my name is Gemma, and this is your podcast, Cosmic Woman. Make yourself feel right at home. Allow your heart to expand and your mind to be at peace. We are all one. That's why this is an invitation to listen with your whole being, as if it was you telling your own narrative. Make each episode an opportunity to ask yourself, who am I being as I listen? I bring this podcast to you with so much love and devotion. That love that is you. A few days ago, in two different conversations, something cropped up that was common to both chats: the importance of not reacting and choosing inner peace. Both people were going through moments of tension in their personal relationships. And furthermore, reflecting on these conversations, it struck me that this inner peace in the midst of the kerfuffle had to be the theme of the next chapter. Something I have learned over the years is that inner peace isn't something that's found outside of us, but rather in the choice not to react, to remember who we are at heart. And from these life experiences comes an episode about what I've called inner peace back to the self. The essence of life is inner peace. When the heart opens, love emerges. A love that sustains, an inner peace which doesn't respond to the ego's beck and call, doesn't need the personal importance that the ego banks on about, because there, in the quiet response, there's no reaction. Because there, you don't try to be right. The point is to preserve the peace for which the heart keeps beating. Personal importance is an ego thing. The ego, by its very nature, needs to feel seen, recognized, listened to, valued. The heart, on the other hand, doesn't need any of that. The spirit knows its importance simply for being. Recognize at the same time that all is everything, light and shadow. The quiet heart doesn't look for external validation to feel itself. But the ego, that idea we've cooked up about ourselves as a twin clone with a made up personality that stands in for us when we disconnect from the soul, needs to feel important. The ego hasn't got any identity of its own. It feeds off the soul. So it needs to cling to others to identify itself in order to keep feeling alive, believing it's invented life. The ego is a mental construct, a made-up reflection of who we really are. It crops up as a defense mechanism when, as kids, our environment doesn't accept or represses our true essential being. To get by, we create masks, personalities, layers of defense. That's where the ego is born, an imaginary person who will represent us in life, believing that's who we are. The ego is like a character in a novel. We imagine it has got its own life and experiences. The ego identifies with the changing environment as we grow, and we create more and more personalities to fit in with different life scenarios. For example, if as kids we were felt left out or abandoned, the soul begins to identify itself with this open wound. The child who's abandoned will affirm, making it a hard and fast truth to the world. I am the girl who's abandoned. That deep-seated belief will lead her, forcing her to build a life with every experiences that confirms the abandonment, even though it's not the soul's truth. For example, the child who's created the belief that the one who loves you leaves you, when she makes a first little friend, these friends, let's say, drops her, the child will feel her wound reinforced, confirming her identity as I am the girl who's always left, abandoned. And he will push away friends who get close because most of the relationships they have are based on a beginning and an end. The child identifies with that interpretation about herself, not about the soul's truth. And as we keep growing, believing we are that ego that made a personality created, we forget that behind that ego, our true essence keeps shining. We are our own soul, We don't need anything else to be. That's it. We've only forgotten our true being and the layers of fear, protection, and misunderstood intentions. Misunderstandings projected onto the fictional personality that is the ego. And as the things that happen in life go by, we put on more and more masks, more personalities, and the ego gets bigger and bigger, taking up more and more space until the point where it leaves little room for the self and stops us from living our lives to live the ego's life, built on memories, hurts, needs, fears, the demands of our mom and dad that we took on us if they were our own. And the list of characters we've become is so long that we simply forget who we are. The more we identify with the ego, the farther we get from the soul, the more we lose our peace. The ego needs to defend itself, needs to be seen, recognized, accepted, but each time that we react from the ego, we feed the separation of ourselves and others. The more we feed it, the more anxious it gets, more fearful, creating more layers to protect us when in reality it's destroying us. Somatizing unexpressed emotions that turn into chronic illnesses and causing even death in some cases. That's the ego, a silent assassin, a manipulative narcissist dressed as a false you. The true transformation begins when we start to take off those layers. So little by little, we stop letting our reactions get the better of us. We stop believing that we are so important. We don't need to defend ourselves externally, that we are always right, or to try to make others understand us no matter what. We understand that others also act from their own wounded self. We don't need to explain who we are nor defend our truth. We simply start to choose our inner peace. So little by little, we illuminate our soul, opening the heart. The ego loses strength and the soul starts to shine, to recognize that divine spark that we've forgotten we are. Because we've always been the self, a fractal of the totality, a divine spark living in a human body, a stationary wave vibrating in a physical body, believing she's separate due to fear, to pain. We've always been the soul, the heart, but we forgot it to protect ourselves in this plane. But we never stopped being one with the one heart, only we've forgotten it so that we don't feel the cruel reality of this world. Inner peace is reached when we manage to not identify with the ego and we go back to recognizing that we've always been pure consciousness. When we understand that the ego isn't an enemy, but a creation that arose to protect us, and we can look at it with love, without blame. The ego is a version of ourselves, of a lower frequency, that lives in a space of a lower vibration that the self is. The ego is a shell that stops the light that shines within us, which is what we really are. And the soul is everything. The rest, it's all made up. The true mission of life is to live from the self. There's no other purpose for the soul than to remember who it is, losing identification with the ego and putting the focus on the heart, the door to the soul. To achieve inner peace, first we open our hearts. To do so, we heal hidden wounds, emotions that we haven't allowed ourselves to feel out of fear. But now we can look at them, leave them, release them. Every time we do this, we dissolve a layer of ego and recover a fragmented part of ourselves. If we adopt the belief that the ego isn't bad, but that it was created to protect us, we'll be much kinder to ourselves because there'll be no guilt or fear. The ego is part of us, created by love. And loving this part of us will include the hurts and the shadows. It's the beginning of self-love. And self-love will dissolve the ego with affection. Then, as the heart opens more and more, The second step to reach that inner peace is not reacting to external events. When we react, we get lost in the ego's clutches that wants to be right, to feel important. But now we choose to withdraw into silence, as there's no motive to defend ideas tooth and nail, and we choose inner peace over the ego. From there, the ego loses power, and the self expands. In astrology, the Sagittarius symbol, in its highest expression, in the high vibration of itself that we can perceive from the current plane where we are, it's peace. Sagittarius isn't out there, it's in us, and its true authentic state is inner peace. When we stop looking for answers outside and trust the path in the wisdom that each experience brings us, that's when everything changes. And Sagittarians, as the fire that doesn't burn but guides, reminds us that when we're aligned with our heart, we no longer need to defend ourselves, react, or run away. Only be. And in that being, in that remembering, inner peace is born. That deep, luminous peace that embraces everything. And from there, at the leap into the void that Aquarius calls us to further ahead in the cadence of our soul map, that's the natal chart, we follow the path towards total liberation. Inner peace begins in oneself. We won't see peace until we first choose it within ourselves. And that conscious, affectionate, and loving choice is true self-love. To close out this chapter, remember this. Your inner peace is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and offer to the world. You don't need to do anything to deserve it. Just remember who you are, beyond the masks, beyond the personal stories. You are the soul that beats, the love that vibrates, the consciousness that observes. Return to the center. Choose peace. We meet in the heart. I leave you here a few phrases that you can use to support yourself in those moments of tension when now you're choosing your inner peace instead of reacting to other people. I am peace. I am love. I am the eternal beat of consciousness. I am the self, free from masks. I live in peace. I live in love. In the silence of my being, I find the peace that guides me and the love that sustains me. Thank you for joining me and giving yourself to this experience. You can find all platforms for this podcast in the description, so please subscribe to the ones you like the most. Your essence is cosmic. You are a celestial being, a cosmic traveler, a vessel for the light and pure consciousness. With all my love.